Reddit stories. In a dimly lit, upscale cocktail lounge, I sat alone at the bar, my thoughts wandering as the soft jazz music filled the room. The sultry ambience wrapped around me, creating an alluring atmosphere that seemed almost tangible. As I nursed my drink, I couldn't help but feel the weight of the enigmatic woman who had just taken the seat a few stools down from me. Her name was Isabella, a striking vision of confidence and allure. She was dressed in a form-fitting black dress that left little to the imagination, her every curve expertly accentuated. Her piercing green eyes held a hint of mischief as they locked onto mine. I had come to the lounge for a quiet evening alone, a moment of respite from the chaos of life. But Isabella had other plans, and it was clear from the seductive smile playing on her lips that she had set her sights on me. She ordered a drink and leaned in, her intoxicating perfume teasing my senses. "Mind if I join you?" she purred, her voice oozing sensuality. I couldn't deny the attraction I felt, but I was a man of principle, not easily swayed by outward appearances. I gave her a polite nod and replied, "I appreciate the offer, but I'm here to enjoy my drink in solitude." Undeterred, Isabella decided to push a little harder. She inched closer, her fingers lightly grazing my arm as she whispered, "Are you sure you wouldn't rather enjoy the company of a beautiful woman?" I felt a knot tighten in my stomach, torn between desire and my own convictions. I knew I had reasons to resist her advances. "I'm sure," I said firmly, gently pulling my arm away. "I came here to be alone tonight." Isabella leaned back, her smile still in place, but now tinged with frustration. I could see the determination in her eyes as she replied, "Well, if you change your mind, I'll be right here." With a nod, I turned my attention back to my drink, trying to regain my composure. Despite the temptation, I remained steadfast in my decision. I had other priorities, and succumbing to the seduction of a stranger was not in my best interest. I could feel Isabella's eyes on me for a moment longer, her curiosity perhaps piqued by my unwavering determination. I admired her beauty and allure, but I knew that tonight, my path lay elsewhere. I sipped my drink, content with my choice, knowing that some encounters were meant to be fleeting and that this night in the dimly lit lounge would be one of them. I continued to nurse my drink, trying to put Isabella's tempting advances out of my mind. The lounge's ambience provided a welcome distraction, and the soothing jazz music began to have its intended effect, calming my racing thoughts. As minutes turned into what felt like hours, I couldn't help but steal a few glances in Isabella's direction. She seemed equally determined to maintain her sultry presence, occasionally chatting with the bartender or exchanging flirtatious banter with other patrons. Her persistence was undeniable, and part of me wondered if I had made the right choice. But deep down, I knew that yielding to a stranger's seduction was not aligned with my values, no matter how tempting the offer. My thoughts were a whirlwind of conflicting desires, but I remained resolute in my decision. Isabella, however, wasn't one to easily accept defeat. After a while, she mustered the courage to approach me once more. With a hint of vulnerability in her eyes, she leaned in closer and said softly, "I can't help but be intrigued by your unwavering determination. Are you absolutely sure you won't let me keep you company, even just for a little while?" Her words were almost a plea, and I couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for her. But I knew that yielding now would only make things more complicated in the long run. Taking a deep breath, I replied with a gentle but firm tone, "I appreciate your interest, Isabella, and you're undoubtedly captivating. But my reasons for being here tonight are important to me, and I need to honor them. I hope you understand." Isabella's face registered a mix of disappointment and respect for my honesty. She nodded, her smile fading slightly. "I do understand," she said, her voice tinged with sadness. "Perhaps another time, then." With that, Isabella gracefully returned to her seat, and we both went back to nursing our drinks in silence. The tension in the air seemed to have dissipated, and the lounge's atmosphere returned to its initial, seductive calm. As the night wore on, I couldn't help but reflect on the encounter. While the temptation had been undeniable, I had stood by my principles and made the choice that felt right for me. It was a reminder that sometimes, the allure of the moment could be fleeting, and the decisions we make in the heat of the moment could have lasting consequences. Eventually, I finished my drink and paid my tab, leaving the dimly lit lounge behind. Isabella remained seated at the bar, her presence still a lingering memory as I stepped out into the cool night air. Our paths had crossed briefly, leaving both of us with an encounter that would be remembered, but ultimately, we each continued on our separate journeys, carrying the lessons of that night with us. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of that fateful night at the cocktail lounge lingered in the back of my mind. Isabella's captivating presence had left an indelible mark on me, and I couldn't help but wonder what might have happened if I had allowed myself to succumb to her charms. But my commitment to my principles remained steadfast, and I resolved to stay true to my course. One evening, as I was going about my daily routine, I received an unexpected message on my phone. It was from an unknown number, and the message simply read, "Meet me at the Jazz Lounge tonight. I have something to show you." There was no signature, but the timing and the tone of the message were unmistakable. It could only be from Isabella. Curiosity got the better of me, and I found myself drawn to the idea of seeing Isabella once more. I couldn't deny that her allure had left a lasting impact on me, and I wondered if there was more to our connection than a chance encounter. That night, I arrived at the Jazz Lounge, my heart pounding with anticipation. The familiar dimly lit ambience and the sultry music welcomed me, and I couldn't help but smile at the memories that flooded back. I spotted Isabella at the same corner of the bar where we had first met. She was dressed in a sleek, crimson dress that accentuated her elegance, and her green eyes sparkled with an air of mystery. Approaching her with a mix of curiosity and caution, I said, "Isabella, I received your message. What did you want to show me?" She turned to me, her lips curling into a mischievous smile. "I'm glad you came," she replied, her voice as enchanting as ever. "But before I show you, I have to admit something. I was intrigued by your determination that night. You were different from anyone I'd ever met." I nodded, feeling a sense of validation. "I appreciate that, Isabella. I have my reasons for the choices I make." Isabella leaned in closer, her voice barely a whisper. "And I respect that, but I also couldn't stop thinking about you." Before I could respond, Isabella motioned for me to follow her to a secluded corner of the lounge. She led me to a small, dimly lit stage tucked away in the corner, where a lone pianist sat, his fingers dancing across the keys with expert precision. As the pianist continued to play, Isabella stepped onto the stage and began to sing. Her voice was a revelation, a rich and soulful melody that filled the room with raw emotion. It was a song of longing and desire, of missed opportunities and second chances. I couldn't help but be captivated by her performance, my heart swaying to the rhythm of her voice. When she finished, the lounge erupted in applause, and I found myself standing in the front row, clapping with genuine admiration. Isabella stepped down from the stage, her eyes locked onto mine. "That was for you," she said, her vulnerability laid bare. A song to express what I couldn't that night. I was deeply moved by her gesture and the raw emotion in her voice. "Isabella, that was incredible. You have an amazing talent." She smiled, a hint of shyness in her expression. "Thank you. It was my way of showing you how much that night meant to me." We spent the rest of the evening talking, sharing stories, and getting to know each other on a deeper level. I learned about Isabella's passion for music and her dreams of becoming a professional singer. She, in turn, discovered more about my principles and the values that guided my life. As the night wore on, it became clear that there was a genuine connection between us, one that extended beyond the initial attraction. We had both been drawn to each other for different reasons, and the twists of fate had brought us back together. As the lounge began to close for the night, Isabella looked at me with a mix of hope and uncertainty. I know we started with a rejection, but I can't help but wonder if this is our second chance. Would you be willing to see where this connection leads? I took a moment to reflect on everything that had transpired since that first encounter. I realized that sometimes life presented us with unexpected opportunities, and the choices we made could lead to beautiful connections. With a smile, I replied, "Isabella, I would be honored to see where this leads." And so, in that dimly lit jazz lounge, a chance encounter that had initially ended in rejection had come full circle. Isabella and I embarked on a new chapter together, driven by a shared sense of intrigue, a deep connection, and the belief that sometimes, second chances could lead to the most beautiful and unexpected love stories. Then, this is the end of the video. See you next time. Thank you.